Hey everyone, this is Ultra Runner. Welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to talk to you guys about the releases we have so far from SS86. And now that we're kind of coming to really a little bit of a lull, I think right now I've got everything except, in my Power Loot. Right now, Kranix should probably drop in there in a couple days. Because I got a notification from BBTS, but I've got Power Glide, the Matrix, and Shockwave and Skywarp in there. But just thinking about SS86, taking that out of consideration, I wanted to look at the releases so far and kind of look at what's big winners and what's probably not that great. Kind of like a top 5 worst releases for the line. But for this release for SS86, I'm not really going to be looking specifically at the figure, or as far as the release type. Is it a good Voyager or whatever? Is it poor engineering? It's going to be a little bit across the game, because I think some releases are on Hasbro as far as them being bad, and some of them are just not just great figures in general. So I wanted to start off with number 5. In this top 5 is going to be a little bit of a cheat, but it's going to be all of the battle damaged Transformers that were released. So that's the Ratchet, the Ironhide, the Prowl, the Brawn, Optimus, and Megatron. And I'm going to put a strong cap on Megatron. But for all of those releases, they could have been a separate piece. As you guys seen my video on the Megatron, you just take the head, technically take the faceplate off, but I took my head off too, because it was a little different color, the head, one to the other. But that could have been a head swap and a chest piece. If you come over here to Optimus could have been a chest piece, a head swap, and even like a torso piece, just a panel that popped in, because there's no other damage on these guys anywhere else. Same thing with Brawn. That could have been a swap out head and a chest piece there. Prowl, a lot of people have already done the fix for Prowl, where they've actually put in the I think it's a DNA kit that makes him, or not, toy hacks that makes him look like he's fine. And then of course you can see on these guys, that is just chest pieces. That's chest pieces and head. And the great thing about these figures, again, which makes it kind of an egregious move for Hasbro, is this could have just been pieces they included in a box, especially for what you're paying for some of these figures. There was really no reason for that to be a completely separate release. So for me, number 5 is going to be all of the battle damage figures, not because they're not good, but because they could have been a really kind of a throw-in for us to have if you want to switch between battle damage and not. And if you wanted to get a second one, just buy a second one and get it clean, but at least give us the option for that. And of course, Megatron might be the most egregious, because of course the little purple pistol that should have come with the original release didn't come with that one. So that's number 5. All right, our number 4 release, as far as the worst releases of SS86 so far, I'm going to put that at Cup. And not because Cup's a bad figure, and not because he's inaccurate and then had to do him twice. I think this is the first time we actually realized we were going to be getting the 2 or the variants of the figures from a clear plastic and a colored plastic set. And I remember when this one came out, everybody was like, oh, this guy looks so good, he's great, the clear plastic looks like the masterpiece. And then they dropped the Buzzworthy Bumblebee version that was the Target exclusive, and then all of a sudden it became the scene where, okay, this is the one you want. Well, now, 3 years down the road, everybody's complaining the fact that we're getting the one version or the other, and basically they're double dipping on this. But was it started back then? So was this Hasbro's plan the whole time? Probably. For us to basically end up having to double dip on these figures, but Cup, like I say, Cup was one of if I remember correctly, he was the first that we got this release, and everybody's like, oh, they gave us a better version, and all these excuses as to why. But at the end of the day, what I think it is, this was always a plan, was to have us double dip in this line. So for me, worst releases of the batch, number 4 is going to be Cup. And for number three has got to be Perceptor. So the original Perceptor was crazy discolored. The red wasn't great. It was hollow. Not super accurate. Faceplate wasn't great either. And then we all knew it, but it was what we got. And then when they released the second one, then we realized, okay, this was a great fix to original figure, and this looked a lot less egregious to me. Like with Cup was clearly, all they're going to do is change the paint a little bit. They give him a little bit better color on the car parts, on the fenders and the roof, and then they gave him a little bit different face or paint to the face, and then the clear plastic went away. This one here was at least re-engineered to be significantly better coloration, the whole 9. But this should have never come out the way it did. This was kind of really thrown together, I think, and from anybody who has this knows that Perceptor was not great. So if you actually got the Target exclusive, again, another one of those situations where Target gets this super great version of it, then that is really what you wanted to get. So again, the makeup of the figure, or I guess the re-release of it, definitely was the way to go, but that shouldn't have been the case. So at number 3 is Perceptor. All right, coming in at number 2, and this may be a surprise to many of you guys, but my number 2 is going to be Astrotrain. Now, Astrotrain is a bad release for multiple reasons, but none of which I think is really what most people are considering. Because the robot mode, yes, compromised, but with most of these, you're going to get some type of compromise. The shuttle mode is actually better than the previous, and then the train mode is exceptional. And even with the little smoke effect, and then the fact that you've got the little blast effects and stuff like that, this is definitely, I would say, not a great figure, but it's not bad for the reasons we all think it is. A lot of us think it is. I think the reason bad is because of the price. It's a triple changer, and for what you spend on this particular figure, you would think they would execute with some level of, I don't know, the Megatron right above it, right here, and it just did not live up to the expectations. And I don't think there was any malice in this creation. To me, like with Cup and Perceptor, maybe with Perceptor, the battle damage, you can see that was okay. These guys are really trying to double dip, triple dip, but you can't do that on Astrotrain. Astrotrain is, I don't think there was any malice into it. I just think this was a great idea that was just not executed properly, and that's just all it is. And yes, it's slightly better in hand, but I mean, don't get me wrong, this is not a great figure at all. But yeah, like I said, for me, mine's in train mode, will never be anything other than train mode, unless this thing gets a retool later on. But for the most part, this was not a bad release as far as how Hasbro treated us with the other two. The other ones on this list, this is just one of the ones where it just didn't come out great. So this is definitely about the figure itself. So, all right, and our number 1, this guy here, probably the most egregious release of the SS86 line, and that is the Coronation Starscream. Now, the reason this is so bad, because this is just a siege mold. We all knew when we got it, and so we were expecting this to be what they look like moving forward, even though it's not accurate and the whole 9 to the SS86 line, or at least what they said that this SS86 line was going to be. But thing is, what makes this guy, to me, the worst release and so egregious is the fact that we got no other Seekers in this mold for SS86. I don't think a lot of people don't really talk about that, but Thundercracker, and is new, and Skywarp is new, and of course we have the soon-to-be released Target exclusive Starscream. But it's not like they gave us this and gave us the other Seekers, which are simple repaints, where they could have easily given us the other ones, and they said, "Oh, hey, by the way, we've got a great new Masterpiece-esque mold that we're doing, and we're gonna re-release all those guys in that." And then that would have been okay, good, but a lot of people could have chosen whether you wanted to go with these or the new ones. But for here, with this guy here, what makes it such a terrible release and really bad on Hasbro for releasing this is they knew they were going to make the new molds, because we didn't get any other ones. They never teased it. It was never a leak list. There's never like an opportunity for these to come out. We were never going to get Skywarp and Thundercracker in this mold. So they dropped this, added the coordination pieces to make them unique to Studio Series 86, and then proceeded to make a brand new mold. So we had to go back and double dip and get this guy and get a new version of this guy, because he won't scale well. So, and that's really the issue I have with this piece. And not that this Siege mold is bad. Actually, I think Siege mold is fine. I'm perfectly fine with this Starscream. I got it, and like I said, I think they did a good job with him. But, you know, because he's actually got finger articulation, which the new Seeker mold doesn't have finger articulation. You know, so it's definitely not a bad figure as far as figures go, but this is really more about the intent. And the intent was, hey, we're going to make this, we're going to squeeze it into the line to make sure it's okay, and then we're going to take them out, and then we're going to make you guys buy a brand new mold, and you can't keep the original Starscream. So let me move this out of the way so I can show you guys here. So if I take him, and put them side by side, I mean, you can see, I mean, they don't scale. So Starscream is actually shorter. And of course, because he has all the greebling and the detail, which I think is cool, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't go with Thundercracker, so you can't really have him in the same, you know, setup, just because they don't really match. And on top of that, the coordination pieces don't fit, so they don't fit on Thundercracker. So, which means they won't fit on the new Starscream, which means we're gonna have to buy a second Starscream. And SS86 is gonna have coordination. So for a lot of us who want a coordination Starscream, you're gonna end up with two of these probably, unless they do something like maybe like like a charcoal colored Starscream that's like grayed out, destroyed. You know, and they just have the coordination stuff with him, which would be cool, because I would take that for sure. But again, it's one of those things where you look at the release and you look at the intent behind the release, and to me, the intent behind this release was always to give us a better mold later and have us double dip, and that really kind of started off this whole SS86 repaint, retool, re-release new mold, as opposed to saying, hey guys, we're going to drop the Seekers later on. And I think most of us have been fine just waiting a couple of years. Well, I guess it's been like 4 years before we got our first Seeker. But our first Seeker was this guy here. You know, this body, I think people would have been pretty ecstatic. But the fact that our first mold, our first Seeker is this, and then we have to wait like 4 years to get the new one, and then no height compatibility, no cross parts compatibility. It's just a little bit of a sore thumb, you know, a sore spot for us. And like I said, which makes this release just probably the most egregious of all the releases, and definitely, in my opinion, the worst release of all the Hasbro Studio Series 86 releases so far. Now, I didn't want to include anything that's coming in, so like Kranix and Skywarp, because Skywarp's same as that. Kranix, I don't think anybody's going to care. Kranix's mold, his alt mode is terrible, but who cares? Nobody's ever going to transform that guy. Shockwave, we all know what Shockwave is. He's basically a retool, and even though the figure comes with less and he's smaller, he's really not bad. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with him. He's really no different than Galvatron. You know, Galvatron was just a repaint of the previous mold, and I think they did a good job with this. But for the most part, you know, it's a lot of these releases are, you kind of look at the practices that Hasbro is doing as far as what they're trying to do with this line and just lines in general, with the repaints and retools and remolds and multiple purchases, and they can definitely do better. And so I just wanted to kind of give you guys my thoughts on that. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out. Later.